Hey all, welcome to Share Trek. How have you been, guys? I hope you had a great Monday and look forward to a great week ahead. Today I want to share my observations and evolving thoughts around the movements in the market. I would like to talk about Bitcoin as well and the indices before I close. But before we proceed, the painting is ready to be shipped to the lucky winner of the 2000 subscriber challenge. If you like what you see here in this picture, please enter your name into the raffle. The link is in the description of this video. As soon as we touch 2,000 subscribers, I'll schedule a live stream to pick the lucky winner and ship the acrylic on canvas painting to them at my cost. So if you haven't entered your name yet, just scroll down to the description, enter your name, and then see the rest of the video. Now let's get started. Welcome back, friends. First, I would like to announce that I'm working on a mini-series on sickle cell disease because we have Zynteglo already in the market and 2 more therapies from CRISPR Therapeutics and 1 from Beam in the works for sickle cell disease and TDT. The approach of each of these therapies is different. As an investor, we need to form our opinion on the merits and valuation of each of the therapies. There is a saying, invest in what you know. And since none of us are genomics experts or scientists, I think we need to learn what exactly causes sickle cell disease and what are the methodologies used by the different gene therapies that are going to compete against each other. And that will give us a very good idea of how to invest. I'll start the series either this week or next. It will start with the basic genetic variation or mutation that causes the disease, and then we'll talk about the disease itself, what are the symptoms, how difficult that disease is, and what is the cost of treating that disease condition. And then we'll talk about the approach of each of the therapies, how Zynteglo tackles sickle cell disease, how CRISPR is trying to tackle sickle cell disease with their 2 therapies, and how Beam is trying to tackle it. So we'll understand their methodologies. So after that, we'll be able to identify the pros and cons of each of these approaches, and that should help us to get a better idea of our investment in sickle cell therapy in the genomics field. So that's the thought behind doing this mini-series. I think for this mini-series, I may have 1 video per week. That's the idea. Now back to the markets. We saw a brief period of green and optimism. I'm reading that the expectation is of a soft landing and a shallow recession in the US, with the Eurozone not doing as bad as expected, doing slightly better. In the past, when the sentiment was anti-China, we read that we cannot trust Chinese statistics. However, one positive news item doing the rounds right now is that China on opening up is doing great, and their pro-growth policies will revive domestic demand and increase their GDP estimates upwards. I don't know where that is coming from. If it is coming from the Chinese, if we couldn't believe them in the past, can we believe them now? So that's the question. Right? For instance, the talk is that euro area growth will be minus 0.1% instead of original forecast of 0.6%. Barclays says that global forecast will be 2.2% in 2023, up from original forecast of 1.7%. And out here in Canada, tomorrow we are going to have the Canadian CPI, and it will surely have an impact on the Canadian stock market. I have been out and about in both downtown Toronto and the suburbs in the malls just to get a feel of what the market is like. And I see huge discount sales everywhere, like 30 to 40% discount. And there is plenty of crowds in the mall. The parking lots are full. We have seen the fall of peak oil from 124.71 on 14th of January 2022 to 79.08 on 16th of January 2023, which is a drop of 35%. It surely has got a hand in reducing inflation. Oil is still in a bear channel testing the upper bounds. Will it get pushed back or will it break through and move up? We don't know. If China opens up as they say it has, oil prices have to go up. They always do. When oil prices go up, inflation goes up. Sorry, I digressed. Let me come back to the original point. As I was saying, I have seen malls offering great discounts. That indicates lower inflation. I have seen great crowds in the malls, and that is high consumer confidence, which indicates potentially a very strong market. And that supports higher interest rates and suggests lower unemployment, because if people are not unemployed, they will come to shop. If they were unemployed, they won't come to shop. Coupled with the drop in oil prices from peak, which is deflationary, the rents have been steadily going up. It's difficult to predict what will happen tomorrow. I personally feel that the Canadian inflation will show a slight drop, but the employment stats will show tightening because there are crowds in the mall. Either they're coming because of the deals. Even if there are deals, if you don't have money, you don't go to the mall. So I think the employment position is tight, and I think the wages are good. That's why if the employment position is tight and if the consumer confidence is strong, the Fed in Canada will probably continue with its rate hikes. I'm personally not getting any comfort that we are seeing the actual information anywhere. Unfortunately, we have been spinning news so much, and with all the social media chatter and alternative facts, it's difficult to believe anything you read in print. With this information in mind, let's take a quick look at the TradingView platform to see what the markets are indicating to us. I'm recording this on Monday night. So we're going to look at the status of the market at the end of Monday, and we're going to see where it's going to go. Here we are in our TradingView platform. I have all these candles as one-day candles. This is a long-term chart, and I'm looking at the Nasdaq futures, which are already negative minus 0.48. They seem to have hit this circuit out here, a resistance 11,597.00 is a resistance which is kind of pushing us down, and our next resistance happens to be at 11,665.00. So these are the two resistance for Nasdaq futures. Are we going to continue going down? Are we going to stop at the resistance of 11,597.00? Not sure. MACD is bullish, but momentum is pulling downwards towards the 50%, but still it's a strong momentum. Let's see what the other indicators are telling us. If you look at US oil has been in a long-term bear market. As I pointed out earlier, we have dropped from an all-time high, which was at around 123.63, somewhere around 14th of January 2022, all the way down to 79.31 as of market close on on Monday, that is 16th of January. So it's been a 35% drop. So it all depends on whether this diagonal line of resistance is going to hold the fort. If it does hold the fort, then we are likely to see lower oil prices, and that would mean less inflation. But if it breaks through, then we are aiming for the resistance at 88.33, which will be inflationary for us. Now let's look at QQQ. QQQ has broken out of the big bear channel that we were in, but it seems to be forming a new bear channel, because I've drawn this diagonal line of resistance linking two of the peaks from where we have bounced down, the lower highs. So we have got the next lower high in the formation. It's currently being held back by resistance at 282.10, and it has got this diagonal resistance to contend with. And if you look at the MACD, it's still bullish, and momentum is still above average, and it's pushing upwards. Plenty of room before we hit the limit for the RSI, upper limit of the RSI, and getting overheated. So we have to see tomorrow what happens. Are we going to break through this 282.10? So that's what I would say about QQQ. S&P 500 is also on a big bear channel, and again, just like QQQ, we have to see whether it's going to be able to break through this diagonal line of resistance. MACD is bullish, momentum is also pretty strong, it's all indicating upwards, but we have already seen that the futures is showing a bearish tendency out there. And you have got Russell's index, which has been on a tear. It has converted its earlier resistance of 183.72 into a support, and it's now heading for the next resistance, which is out here at 191.38. So we have to see what happens out there. And also I would draw a minor resistance out here just because we can. There has been a resistance out here. I'm going to color it red because it's a resistance. So this resistance is at 189.13, which is going to be our next stop. And if we break through that resistance, it's going to be at 188.88. So if we break that, then we have the next resistance to contend with, which is 191.38. MACD is bullish, momentum is going very high. It's still, RSI has not yet overheated, so we still have some steam left in us. And Dow Jones Industrial Average has already broken through a resistance of 341.37. So I'm going to mark that as support going forward. And our next resistance is out here at 358.99. However, I think I can see a few more resistance line. I think I would have cleaned up this chart in order to because we were not looking at it so often, and we had gone way below. So I had cleaned up the chart. So I'm going to put a resistance out here. So this is going to be our next resistance. Let me do a little bit of cleanup out here. Okay, so here we have a resistance which is going to be at 353.99 for Dow Jones. And VIX has come into really good territory out here. This is ideal territory. This is where we like to be. And we have resistance which is holding at 18.57. So this looks good. MACD is also bearish. Momentum is also falling. So VIX and most of the indicators are showing that we have a tendency to move upwards, but at least QQQ and S&P 500 are facing significant barriers, and US oil is also facing a barrier. The question is, are they going to be able to break through the barrier? Futures is indicating no, they can't. At this point of time, futures is bearish, but VIX is indicating yes, they can. So it's mixed messages out here. So we can't draw any inference from here. Let us look at the US dollar. US dollar index is in a long-term bear channel, and it's continuing to move downwards, and this is good for the markets. This is the reason why the markets are green, because money is going out from here. And at that token, let us go and have a look at crypto. Let's look at Bitcoin. What we are looking at is a weekly chart. On the weekly chart, Bitcoin has shown a morning star formation because you have a red candle followed by a green candle, and then followed by another green candle, all of them closing above where the red candle closed. So we have a confirmed morning star, which is a trend reversal. How much more can Bitcoin go? So to answer that question, let us draw some resistance lines. We had strong resistance out here. So this is our first point of resistance for Bitcoin, and this happens to be at 24,339. So that's where I think Bitcoin is going to get the first check. And Bitcoin also has stopped here at the current resistance where it has been before. So first we had to break through this, and we had to go further up. And right now you can see Bitcoin is fighting this resistance. It's down minus 0.08%. It's been struggling here for a while now, and it has to break through from here. And then we can say that we're going to have further growth, but trend reversal definitely did happen here. Now let me go back to the daily pattern, and then let us go and have a look at gold. So gold also has gone up significantly. It had a double bottom out here, a triple bottom actually, and then it has been on an upward movement. And it has gone up all the way from somewhere 1,621 all the way to 1909 at this point of time. So that's a significant jump for gold. RSI got overheated, and that's why it's moderating a bit. MACD is still bullish. So we can see gold gain a little more going forward. But one thing that has happened for sure is that Bitcoin has proved that it's not a hedge for inflation. So that's the conclusion that we can draw. So the whole thesis of Bitcoin being a hedge to inflation because of limited mintage coinage, that's been disproved. Now let's look at the index movers. If you look at Microsoft, it has been growing steadily, a very, very orderly rise, and it has got a support now at 238.81. We are at 239.23. So if we continue in this upward trajectory, we have a resistance at 245.15. And if you look at Apple has also been moving very, very nicely upwards, and it has got a resistance at 137.41. And at this point of time, I think both Microsoft and Apple are going to help the Nasdaq move upwards. Amazon also has been moving up in a very orderly fashion, and Amazon has got to fill up this gap down. So I'm feeling very optimistic that Amazon is going to continue to move up and support the index. If you look at Google, Google is also moving very nicely and neatly upwards, and it has got resistance coming up at 95.74. And if we were to look at these four and then remember what we had spoken yesterday, one of the headlines said that is in S&P 500, all the elements are rallying except for the big tech, which is pulling them down. So if you keep that in mind and also know that the big tech, all these four index movers were very high while the entire market was dropping, and they were the last ones to drop, we could assume that we are already at the bottom and we are making a turnaround, and therefore these are going to help the index to break the bear channel and come out of it. The only concern I have now is the Nasdaq futures. Because the VIX is also supporting the thesis that we are going to break through this resistance for QQQ and S&P 500. And I think I'm feeling good about tomorrow. Let's see what happens when the market opens. Now, let's go and have a quick look at our genomics sector. Let us see where we are. Genomics. And I'm going through genomics because I have found some patterns that I wanted to share with you. Let's go to Invitae first. There is a cup handle that is a cup already formed. There is a handle formation in store because we have resistance here at 2.56. So I'm expecting that we are going to bounce back down and form a handle, and we'll bounce back up from this support. And then I'm expecting that we are going to go up. So I would like to draw a potential target for Invitae. I'll draw this from here to the neckline, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clone this and pull it up, put it out here, and then I would say that we have a target of 3.30 for Invitae. Again, friends, this is technical analysis. It's there's a probability that this may not come true, but cup and handle pattern is something that technical analysts believe in. It's a trend pattern which is bullish, and according to the theory of cup and handle pattern, if we did form a handle out here and we bounce back from this green, so it's all a lot of conditions, then we could go all the way up to 3.30. So this could be a swing trade opportunity, but we have to wait and watch tomorrow and see if we bounce back from here and go up. Otherwise, if we had another green candle, then we're going to be forming a morning star pattern, and that's a trend reversal, provided we were on a dropping, provided we were on a descending price chart. So I would ignore that. I'm rooting for us dropping down and bouncing back up from this support at 2.15, so that the cup and handle formation can be complete, and we can look for a target price of 3.31 for Invitae. In SQZ, I can already see morning star pattern, so SQZ Biotech should be moving upwards, and let's look at Illumina. Illumina is the chart is consolidating at this point of time. I think the 10% fine on global turnover is a hangover. The market has to decide what it wants to do. Momentum is also neutral at this point of time, and MACD is just about bearish. Just about bullish. So let's look at IMTX. IMTX is being held back by the resistance out here. Let's go on. Let's go on to DNA. DNA has breached resistance at 1.82 and converted that into a support, and the next resistance for us here is going to be 2.12, and we have a morning star formation out here. We have a trend reversal that has already happened, and if you look at Allogene, Allogene also has got a trend reversal out here, and it has converted 6.53, which was a resistance, into a support. And when we look at CRISPR Therapeutics already on a bullish streak out here. It has converted the resistance at 47.93 into a support, and it's run into a resistance at 50.83. Its MACD is strong, momentum is also very strong. So I think tomorrow we should be able to test this resistance again and try to break above it. If you look at PACB, PACB has done extremely well, and it's pushed upwards. MACD is very bullish, and RSI still has a little bit of momentum left. So maybe a little more growth on PACB before it moderates in order for the RSI to cool down. RSI is already moving sideways. I mean, the momentum is already a bit flat at this point of time. Maybe it won't even go all the way up to the 70% mark. Maybe it's going to moderate right now. So tomorrow, I don't know what PACB is going to do. It could either go sideways or it could move down. Then if I look at Beam Therapeutics, it's touching a bear channel resistance. And MACD is bullish and momentum is just a bit flat as of Monday. So I am not sure whether we are able to break this diagonal. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning. And if you look at Verve, Verve is on a bullish streak, and it has converted resistance, which was at 20.82 into a support. So I'm going to mark this green. And it has also converted another resistance at 22.47 into support. So I'm going to mark it green there as well. Next, we go on to look at the MACD, which is bullish, and momentum has got plenty of room. But I can see that on Monday, the momentum became a bit flat. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on Tuesday morning because at this point of time, I'm not able to fathom which direction it's going to go. Intelia is again consolidating a little bit out here. It's formed a pennant on a upward trend out here. So I think it should break out upwards because MACD is also bullish. But the only factor that prevents me from going with that is because the momentum is below average. So I'm not feeling very confident about that. Caribou Biosciences is in a bear channel. It has to break through this bear channel. MACD is bullish, but momentum is average. So I'm not sure if we are going to break this tomorrow. Bluebird Bio is still roaming around this broad line of support out here. I think there is this line of support which we had before. And we had the new line of support which is not being respected. So I'm just going to take out that line of support. We just have the old line of support out here. And we are still on top of it. So let's hope for the best out here because the MACD is bullish. Unfortunately, the momentum is falling down, but it's still above average. So I think we could still save the price of Bluebird thanks to the support of this bull channel. Next, let us look at Editas, which is following a bear channel. So I'm not very optimistic about Editas. Momentum is also below average. Fate, we don't cover on a regular basis, but it has started moving down a little bit at this point of time. So there was a Morningstar reversal pattern out here, but I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow because MACD is bearish and momentum is way below average. Ideally, at situations like this, it has to swing back up and move up because it's gone down as much as it can. Let us see if there is any news item out here. Century Therapeutics pipeline prioritizing plans declaring it. I don't know what that's for. So there is no relevant news out here. So that's about it. So I was very curious to look at the technical analysis side to see what the technical analysis says, given that the fundamentals are so contradictory. At the end of all of these things, I feel that we could probably have a residue of a little bit of greens for Tuesday. I'm just going to ignore the NASDAQ futures because it has a very small bearishness out there. But I'm looking at crypto also struggling against the resistance. I think the animal spirits will prevail for tomorrow. I would like to go with the thought that tomorrow we'll see a little bit of greens. However, I'm not very optimistic about genomic sector still. Genomic sector may still feel weakness, except for those stocks in which we have seen a bullish pattern like a cup and handle or a trend reversal. So that's about all I have got for you, my friends. I hope you have a great week and a great day. Thanks and have a great day. Bye for now.